Iron Supporting Food Banks collects food and cash donations for needy families in Newham Borough and beyond. Please consider making a donation via their Just Giving page, the link for which you will find in the description section of this stream. Come on, you Irons!
West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! Everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! Everywhere we go!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the West Ham Massive. Thanks for joining me. It's Friday. Please don't forget to like, comment on and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not done so already. And please hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. All these things are free for you to do. Take a couple of seconds and they help to grow the channel into bigger and better things. And we always thank you very much indeed for your support in this matter. We are here, ladies and gentlemen, for match day 3 of 38 in the Premier League. West Ham United play hosts to the champions, ladies and gentlemen. None other than Manchester City, who last season achieved a feat that no one had done since league football began in the year 1887-88 season. And they managed to win the League Championship of England for a fourth consecutive season. We got our work cut out for us tomorrow, haven't we? I think that's safe to say. Let's get into it. So along the bottom will be some changes to the ticker with various little pieces of information. Please feel free to comment on them as we go along and get involved. So yeah. So obviously, as you can see, the ticker's going along at the bottom at the moment. And that gives you the match officials for tomorrow. I'm also going to put up that. And it will intermittently change. And it will give you, again, various little nuggets of information, which you may or may not be aware of. But either way, I hope you appreciate the effort that I've put into it. Let's have a look. I've got someone in the chat. It's Kent. How are you, Kent? I hope you are well, and thank you very much for interrupting your evening and jumping on to say hello. Kent says, evening, Rob. Hart says 2-1. West Ham. Head says City 3-1. They're the two conflicting things that we've got, haven't we? Because the West Ham fan in us would always turn around and say we can get something, even if it's a creditable draw. I'll be perfectly honest with you, Ken. If we had a draw like we did, 2 seasons ago, last home game of the season, I'm sure you were there. I'm sure you remember it. 2-2 draw after we was 2-0 up. It was one that probably was a bit of a bittersweet one because on the one hand, we got a point off of the team that would finish as the champions that year. And actually, I think that was the year they completed the domestic treble. I'm sure that was the year they won the FA Cup, the League Cup, and the Premier League. And we got a 2-2 draw from them, and it was great. But you sat there and you went, we were 2-0 up against them. We should have put that game to bed, and probably on another day we might have done. Opportunity missed. But there you go, as I say. So I'm going to change that intermittently, and it will give you, as I say, little bits of information. Please feel free. And yes, his name, before anyone says, his name is Josep Guardiola. That is his name. Pep is essentially like a shortened version of it, but that is his name. I know people are probably going to point it out and say, that's not his bloody name, Gatesy. It is. Trust me, it is. And as for the stadium, just to sort of say, City of Manchester Stadium, that is its official name. It's called the Etihad Stadium for sponsorship reasons. Just thought I'd get that out there in case I get people that want to turn around and sort of criticize my handiwork. Do you know how long that took me to put together? It took me a while. And I've got a job to do. But anyway, I balance these things out. Guys, get involved in the chat. Please don't be shy. I won't bite your head off, I promise. Kent's not scared of me. Kent knows me. I'm a pussycat. I was pleased to get a point in the end as they missed a pen. Yeah, I do remember that, but I think it was one of those that I think it was an opportunity missed, that one, if I'm being completely honest with you. Darren, hope you're well. You did remember to tune in. You're 5 minutes late, but I will forgive you. That's not a problem. What's my lineup for tomorrow then? You didn't forget, did you? You didn't forget. Let's deal with the questions in sequence. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. My thoughts on the opposition. Okay. And please, you guys that are in the live chat, please jump in with your thoughts on the opposition and the various questions that we're going to get into besides. As you can see, I'm here on my own. Ben may pop along. He may not. He's probably out on the lash. I don't blame him, to be fair. Friday, why not? It's a good time. But anyway, thoughts on the opposition. They're an outstanding footballing unit. I know that they've got these 115 charges against them. I know that there's questions of financial doping and all the rest of it. If we push that to one side and just deal with them as a footballing entity in terms of the how stylistically they approach the game, how pleasing they are on the eye. They play football in a way that very few teams can play football in the world, quite frankly. And quite honestly, if we could even get a point out of this tomorrow, we would have done tremendously well. I got to say, they are one of. I think it's arguable. I think for me, right here, right now, the two best teams on the planet, this is probably one of them, and the other one's Real Madrid. I'm not saying that there are not other teams that could make a case and say that, well, hold on a minute, you're forgetting us. But I honestly think that for me, the top two teams in the world, it's between Manchester City and it's Real Madrid. Those two are a class apart, and we're facing one of those teams tomorrow. So it's going to be a tough game. But as far as the team itself is concerned, the club, the composite parts, yeah, really outstanding, really outstanding. And they're a juggernaut when they get going. And I know a lot of people say, oh, they tend to start seasons slowly. Well, do you know what? I'm not quite sure that they do, because when you look at, I mean, we played them the opening fixture of not last season before, wasn't it? And that was Erling Haaland's debut, and he scored 2 and we lost 2-0. And I came away sort of like, because beforehand, everybody was turning around and saying to me, oh, City traditionally start slowly. No, I didn't see it that day. I really didn't. But yeah, I mean, you know, they're a wonderful footballing outfit. I know. Then we have to factor in, because as I said, let's put aside 115 charges. Let's put aside financial doping. If we then bring that back into focus, which it is a part of the equation, because fundamentally, if they're spending money that within the rules of the game that have been laid out by the Premier League, the FA, UEFA, whatever, if they've got players that actually they really can't afford and they're managing to do it by sort of nefarious means, then they've got players that they shouldn't have, and they are at a fantastic advantage to the other team. So I sort of sit there and I wax lyrical about how great they are on the eye and how wonderful they are to watch, and all of those things is true. But you do sort of go, but there's an element of what I'm watching that I don't quite believe it all is what it seems. It's like when you saw Lance Armstrong winning 7 Tour de France titles. You know, he came back from testicular cancer, and then he came back, and this, that, and the other, and everybody went hurrah. And then years later, you found out that he had a rubber penis, and he was doing this, that, and the other with urine tests, and he was doped up to his eyeballs. And this is a kind of a similar thing. As I say, I use the term financial doping, and I do sort of like, there is this thing that I'm like, is this everything it appears to be? Now, obviously, the charges will be heard, and we'll arrive on a conclusion. Personally, I think 115 charges, I think, is far too much to be throwing at anyone. I think they should have just boiled it down to maybe the sort of like the big sort of dozen or so. Because the investigation is just going to take too bloody long. And even when they arrive on a judgment, you know they're going to appeal it. They're not going to sit there and go, oh, we accept that, they will fight back, and they've got the firepower financially to get the best lawyers in the world and tie this case up in knots for donkey's years. But in terms of what we're going to have to face tomorrow on the pitch, whatever the personnel, and they will be stock to the gunnels. We will look at the bench tomorrow, and whilst we have a bench that we've made improvements on in the last sort of like few weeks and transfer window and all the rest of it, and there may still be more besides on transfer deadline day as we click round to, is it 11 p.m? I think it finishes. You know, our bench pales into, by comparison to theirs. You look at theirs and it's like, wow, they've got, you know, Jack Grealish will probably be on the bench as a substitute tomorrow, I suspect. £100 million. I mean, bloody hell, that is ridiculous. Our opposition's key player. Right, now, for me, I'll tell you what, before I get into that, let's just have a quick look in the comment section, just see what you're all putting in there. I hope Rodri and Foden are still out. That will come. That will come. I'm just going to star your comment there, Ken, and I will do that when we talk about the lineups. But obviously, Darren's come in and said he agrees with it. But I'll get it up on the screen in a little bit, Ken, when I get onto the starting 11. Tony, hope you are well. Thanks for joining in. And he's saying everybody hello. And there's a few little pleasantries that are going around. How you doing, Sharky? Hope you are well. And we've got Sky have just confirmed Cornet deal is agreed with the Saints. Is that a permanent or is that a loan or what's? I'll be perfectly honest with you, mate. I've had so much to deal with today. I've dipped in and out of the transfer tittle tattle. But you know, is it a loan? Is it an obligation? If it is, or an option, or anything like that, we'll wait and see. And we've got DJ Kins in there. Hope you're well, mate. Hope you're well. Thanks for popping along. So what we got? Yeah. So as I said, opposition key player. Right. Well, I've got a slide that's prepared for that. Never let it be said that I am not prepared. Everybody would probably turn around and say Erling Haaland. And I understand that. I do understand that genuinely. He's a goal scorer. He's the blonde-haired, long-haired, young Norwegian 6'4" superstar. But quite frankly, without players like this behind him, he's half the player, in my opinion. Now, Kevin De Bruyne, as you can see there, is 33 years of age. And I think it's fair to say that he has less days in front of him than he has behind him. Okay, that's a fact. However, what a player. What a player. One of the Premier League's all-time greats, in my humble opinion. And he still has, I believe, plenty of gas in the tank. I think he could go on for another 3 years, maybe more, if you know, injuries and form and all other things in it, and quite hunger and desire and determination fundamentally, you know, if he wants to. He might not. This might be, for all I know, this might be his last season. But look at what he's achieved in the game, you know. And bear in mind that once upon a time he was at Chelsea, and Jose Mourinho did not fancy him one bit. Did not fancy him at all. He barely got a kick there. Same as Mo Salah. And both of them have obviously gone away, and they've both come back. But I mean, what Kevin De Bruyne has done. I mean, look at that. 105 caps. 97 of them were starts, 28 goals and 49 assists. I mean, that's impressive enough in and of itself. But then you look at his Manchester City honours. Forget about any honours that he's got elsewhere. Look at that. Of the 10 titles that Manchester City have got in their history, he's been involved in 60% of them. 2 times he's been FA Cup winner, 5 times League Cup winner. He's been a European champion once. He's been a world champion once. As you can see there on that little picture of Kevin De Bruyne there, they've got that little golden emblem in the center of the shirt with the FIFA badge. That's the Club World Cup. So he's a world champion for his club as well. And look at his Manchester City record. He's made just under 400 appearances. That's the longevity this guy's had. And he's had a few injuries as well. I mean, if he hadn't had the injuries, I mean, goodness knows. I mean, he'd have probably been sort of like heading towards 500 appearances by now, I'd suspect. certainly 450 thereabouts. 385 appearances, of which 332 of them are starts, 103 goals, and 171 assists. That man is absolutely ridiculous. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. I think he's sensational. If he plays tomorrow, and there is always the possibility, I mean, Pep Guardiola does like to make the odd little change, and he's got a squad that he can rest and rotate, and you can bring players in, take players out, and they're replaced by players that are just as good. Although I'm not too sure that you'll ever replace anyone, in my opinion, with Kevin De Bruyne that will be as good as him, but they'll probably be fairly comparable, and they will do a decent enough job that they'll be a handful for any team in the Premier League, pretty much. But if Pep Guardiola picks his best 11, this guy is first on the team sheet for me. Wonderful player. I think he's sensational. And as I say, I think whatever I want to sort of like level at Man City and possibly question about, like I said earlier, the financial doping aspect as a possibility. This guy's been an absolute stalwart for them in the years that he's been there, and long may it continue. But I do hope if he plays tomorrow, I will say I hope he has. I hope he has an off game. I hope he gives me a little bit of entertainment, but I hope he doesn't get involved in any goals or assists or things like that. If he could have a relatively quiet game tomorrow, I'd be quite happy. But I do think he is the opposition's key player. Which will be the West Ham player to a key result? I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. I think that we're going to see very little of the ball. I don't think that will be. I don't think that we'll see too much of the ball. I know that in terms of possession under the Julen Lopetegui era, it would appear that we've got more in the way of possession. But whether we're offensively as we would like us to be. And look, it's only been 3 games, 2 in the league and 1 and obviously in the League Cup. Whether we would want or what we would want to be as a attacking unit, I'm not convinced we are. And there may be mitigating factors for that in terms of, some of the players that we've brought in haven't necessarily fully bedded into the team in terms of, patterns of play and in terms of getting to know their teammates and fitness and match sharpness and all of those factors. But I do sort of like look and there is a part of me that sort of says, well, we was warned this. I was about Julen Lopetegui that, we're not going to see Pep Guardiola style football. We're just not. We're going to see probably more in the way of possession, and we have compared to the David Moyes era. So that is something that's a bit of progress, hands up. But in terms of what I've watched and is it as a spectacle, what I would like it to be or anything close, it's nowhere near. It's nowhere near. So I have to say, I think our key player tomorrow is Alphonse Areola, because I think that if Alphonse Areola does not have an 8, 9 out of 10 game, then we lose this game without a shadow of a doubt. And he may still have an 8, 9 out of 10 game. He might even have a 10 out of 10 game, and we still might come short because they've got danger coming from all angles. I would be surprised if we saw more than 30% of the ball tomorrow. I think that they could keep the ball for fun. They could literally keep the ball for fun and keep us at arm's length. So Alphonse Areola for me is the key player. Before I got onto any of the other sort of points that I've got in there, let's just have a little look to see what you guys have been saying in the meantime. Loan just to get his wages off the bill, I believe. There's no option or obligation to buy then? We're just shifting him on. I mean, you're right in terms of getting the wages off the bill. That is to our advantage. But I think I would have been quite happy to sort of like put at least an option, if not an obligation to buy. Because I just don't think he's got any future. Although having said that, I'm not actually too sure how long has he got left on his contract. Although again, is there any point in loaning out a player who's only got the rest of the season to go. I mean, I've heard clubs do it. I do sort of scratch my head and sort of wonder, but thank you very much, Tony. Do appreciate that. And anybody of you that aren't already subscribed to Early Doors Football TV, pop over there and give them a look. There's some good guys over there. Tony's a lovely fella. Give them your love. At the end of the day, we're not competitors with one another as far as I'm concerned. We're all on the same team. We're all on the same page. Adrian, hope you're well. Thanks for popping along. Agree with Kent's team. As I say, we'll get into it in a minute. I've not ignored it. I have started Kent. We will come to it. But Adrian agrees with it, but likely to play Mav rather than Todibo as he looked knackered after the half on Wednesday. I don't think that's really a surprise myself. He's got to play minutes in sort of like competitive first team action. You're completely correct in what you say, by the way. I'm not countering what you're saying at all, Adrian. But the only way that fundamentally he's going to improve the fitness is for him to go out there and play minutes and get that ring rush shook off. So I'll give you the team in a minute. We'll come to it. I'll give you my team and my thoughts on a method to my madness. Real Sociedad in talks over a season-long load for Aguirre. Nothing else known. Sky Sports News. There'll be a bit more movement, mate. We're probably very much older. Kent's key player is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Any of you other guys got any of your key players, do you think, tomorrow? I mean, I'm saying Areola. I think our defenders, our goalkeeper and our defenders are going to need to be playing 8 out of 10. No question. They're going to need to be organised, solid, compact, resolute, and they're going to need to show courage when it's called upon. But yeah, Tony agrees with you. So let's get into it. So that's the question that you've all been waiting for me to answer. Is that what would be my starting 11? And you guys get involved in this as well. That's a question over to you guys as well. What would be your starting 11? Now, before I tell you my starting 11, because it's been sitting there for a little while, I'm going to put anyone that hasn't seen it out of their misery and put in Kent's team. Now, Kent has gone. He's gone Areola, in case anyone was wondering when he said tit. It's Areola. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Jean-Claire Todibo, Max Kilman, Emerson Palmieri, Edson Alvarez, who's that? Rodders. Guido Rodriguez. So you're going a double defensive shield, okay? Because we played 4-1-4-1 so far, if you believe what the graphics have brought up. But it looks, I would believe you're going 4-2-3-1, or are you even going 3 centre-backs with Alvarez as a centre-back? I ask myself, Kent. That could be quite an interesting one to see, sort of like Alvarez's involvement, but we'll see. Paquetá, Bowen, Kudus, Antonio. No Soucek. Interesting. Now, whether the manager will rest brackets drop Soucek, I do not know. I suspect not. But the question was, what is your team? So Kent, that is what Kent would put if he was in the dugout. And that's the same question to the rest of you guys. Darren said, Kudus need to give him the ball as much as possible. I think we do, but I think our time on the ball will be quite limited. But we need to make it count, that's for sure. And DJ Kin says, Paquetá needs to step up and show them why they missed out on him. I agree. I've not been overly impressed with the first 2 Premier League games that he played, although I don't know. I thought he looked okay when he came on against Bournemouth. Exactly that. Yeah, he's to drop him when we're in trouble. That's how I play. So you go essentially as Alvarez is. To be honest, he'd probably be a centre back most of the match. Then, in all fairness, if the game's going to pan out the way that I think it will. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about it. So, what would be my starting 11? Well, I've already said that my key man would be Areola, so I'm guessing he's got to start then, isn't he? So I would go Areola. I would go from left to right. I would play, and I'm torn because we've played 4-1-4-1, And whilst I don't think that we've looked great going forwards, I think that they've looked reasonably like they know what they're doing with that formation. And I do wonder whether it's the time, whether it's a good idea to tinker with it at this stage. I'm not sure. There's part of me, I'm wrestling with this, guys. I'm sort of like, I'm torn between playing 3 centre backs or not. And even now, when I'm thinking about it, I'm still not 100% sure. Do you know what? I think I would actually be tempted to play 3 centre backs, and see how we go, because we need to get minutes out of Todibo. And I don't think Mavropanos has done anything wrong. I don't think he's done anything wrong to justify being dropped, quite frankly, or rested, if that's what you want to sort of term it as. So I think I would probably turn around and go 3 centre backs, Kilman left, Mav in the centre, and Todibo on the right. I mean, you could switch those two. It sort of pays your money, takes your choice. But I would go 3 centre backs personally. I think we're going to need as much defensive solidity as possible. We need to get minutes into Debo, and Mavropanos has done nothing wrong, quite frankly. Or he's not done enough wrong for me to say bomb him out, get rid. I actually think that he's had a couple of games where he started slow, but then he's come good sort of like in the latter stages of the game and looked pretty good. So I'd probably keep Mavropanos there. I'd go 3 centre backs. That's me done as far as that's concerned. So now we move on to the fullbacks / wing backs, depending upon whether we've got the ball or not. And I suspect it will probably be an awful lot of the time we haven't. So I would go Emerson left, and I would go Wan-Bissaka on the right. None of this nonsense of playing Kufau and Wan-Bissaka as the 2 fullbacks where you got one that's out of position. Not for me. So I would go the 2 fullbacks in their preferred flanks. Then we come into midfield. Now, Alvarez for me is a must. Absolutely must play Alvarez. So he goes in there. I think we also need I think we need a bit of craft. I think we need a bit of mobility. But, again, Soucek obviously to good effect last week. What do? I think I would go Alvarez in midfield along with Paquetá, and I'd go Kudus. I'd stick Kudus in central mid. I know this is going to be a bit controversial, but I just would. This probably isn't going to happen, by the way, and I completely understand that. And just one thing just to point out, that's not my graphic. That's a graphic that I've sort of pilfered from elsewhere. I know it says we don't have any missing players. I rather suspect that is incorrect. I rather suspect that we're not going to see Aaron Cresswell for a little while. We're certainly not going to see Kurt Zouma. So although it says no missing players on the West Ham side, that's not my graphic. That's a graphic that I've lifted from somewhere else. I suspect you'll find that Cresswell and Zouma will not be involved. So, whereas obviously on the Manchester City side, as you can see, Oscar Bob is definitely out. He's got a fractured bone in his leg. Hope he's well and hope he comes back soon, because I think he's a good player. Phil Foden and Rodri, if they're out, that is massively to our advantage. I'm keeping my fingers crossed the pair of them don't play. Again, brilliant players, nothing against them. But if they could stay away from the pitch, I'd be quite happy. Mateo Kovacic is also a doubt. So if those players are out, again, they're to our advantage. But they're only going to be replaced by players that are of a comparable standard, I would suggest. Anyway, let's get back to it. So I've gone Alvarez, Kudus, Paquetá as your central 3, and then wide right, wide left. I would go Bowen and I would go Somerville. Now I know that Somerville didn't really sort of look all that against Bournemouth, but again, I do suspect that it's a little bit of he needs to get minutes in under his belt for the club. It's as simple as that. And we've made an investment in the kid, and we need to sort of like get him involved and bed him in. And the only way you're going to do that, ladies and gentlemen, is to play him. So I would put Bowen on the right. I would put Somerville on the left. And then I've got the decision of who I play as the striker. Do I play Antonio? Do I play Fulkrug? Or is there the possibility? Is there the possibility that this could work? How about you played as your striker, Thomas Soucek? I know. Everybody's just spat their tea out. I know. It's one of those batshit ideas that I occasionally have, and I wonder, no one's done it, but could it work? And do you know what? I wonder how City would cope on those occasions that we've got this 6'3", 6'4" Czechoslovakian battering ram playing as the number 9. I don't know. Now, it may be one of those mad professor moments that I occasionally have where it could go horribly right or horribly wrong. And I'll say I would probably not involve Antonio. I would take him off the equation. I would have him as my sub to come on in the last 15, 20 minutes of the match to try and sort of stretch the game out. But I am torn. I'll say I know Fulkrug is the striker, and probably he should play. But there is a part of me that wonders whether Soucek could do it. I probably would, in truth, go with Fulkrug simply because he is the striker. And we've paid good money for him. And he's a champion. He's played in a Champions League final. He's played in a European tournament, the European Championships for his country, Germany. So I probably would go Fulkrug. I just thought I'd articulate, and I'm going to have a look at your comments in a bit, because I dare say that there are people out there who may be watching this live now, and I'm going to get into the comments, and I can't see them right now, that when I said Soucek as the striker, probably thought I had lost the plot. And probably still do, just for the fact that I've articulated it. But I wonder if it could work. And I wonder with Manchester City whether it could work, because I'm not quite sure their backline would have been too used to playing against players like Thomas Soucek. I know that he's played against them before. I know that, but obviously he plays further back. I'm talking about pushing him right up as a number 9. But I probably would go Fulkrug. So my team, just in case anybody's sort of wondering, and what the hell did he say again? So I would go a 5-4-1 essentially, of Areola, centre back 3 of Kilman left. I think I would probably go Kilman left, Mavropanos right, and Todibo in the centre. Actually, thinking about it. Wan-Bissaka right, Emerson left, and then Alvarez, Kudus, Paquetá as your central midfield. Oh, hang on. I've miscounted, haven't I? I've miscounted. And you're probably all saying it in the bloody live chat, aren't you? Well, that's interesting, because the good thing is I could always edit this out, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is the new tactic from me. It's playing 12 with 11 outfielders. It will never catch on, and there's probably lots of comments now. And this will be remembered for years to come when Rob lost count. Jesus Christ. Okay. Yeah, I'm sticking with the 5. That's not going anywhere. I've just got to decide how do I utilize it. Let me have a think. So I'm definitely having Paquetá. I'm definitely having Kudus. I'm definitely having Alvarez. That's the 3. The question is, who are the remaining two? So I went Fulkrug, Bowen, and Somerville, didn't I? But I'm going to have to chop one of them out. It can't be Bowen. It can't be Bowen at all. It's probably going to have to be Somerville then. Because I think that Fulkrug's hold-up play could be quite vital. So yeah, it might have to be Jimmy that's chopped out. I'm gonna have a little bit of a laugh when I see your comments in a minute, where you're all gonna be coating me off and saying, Rob, you've lost count. In fact, I'll do that now. I'm now gonna have a look. Oh, this will be hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. All of you will be sort of saying, Rob. Like, yeah, I know. Berlin Lounge, how you doing, mate? Thanks for popping along. Hope you're having a chuckle. I don't take myself too seriously. You might have noticed this. I know I do these little presentations, and I do it more for sort of like, I enjoy doing it, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I don't take myself too seriously. Areola, Mav, Kilman, Alvarez, splitting Selby, centre backs, Emerson, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And then he's carried on. Hang on. Areola, Mav, Kilman, Alvarez. Okay, so you've got 3 centre backs with Alvarez at the centre. Emerson, Wan-Bissaka as the wing backs. Guido, Pac-Man, Soucek, Bowen, Kudus. I would be averse to playing 3-5, 3 centre backs. Okay. Bowling Lounge has gone 3-5-2, so similar-ish to what I was advocating. Steve, hope you're doing well, mate. What is the latest? Gutted we never got Duran. Would have been a beast for us. I'm not sure, mate. I've been dipping in and out of all the transfer shenanigans. I've heard, obviously, Nick's been on Claret and Booze, where I believe, and I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard the general vibe that he's apparently heard from people, I believe, that are in some way, shape or form connected to Duran in some way. And they're saying that the deal is not dead in the water. I don't know too much more than that. But yeah, Michael, evening, by the way, with a 3-5-1-1. And evening as well, Berlin Lounge. DJ Kins has come in. Areola, Wan-Bissaka, Tedibo, Gilman, Emerson, Paquetá, Alvarez, Bowen, Kudus, Somerville, and Antonio. Just a few little pleasantries. Darren's come in with Areola, Wan-Bissaka, Kilwood, Tedibo, Emerson, Paquetá, Alvarez, Rodriguez, Bowen, Kudus, and Antonio. Play a false 9. Now, when I was talking about playing Soucek as the sort of like the striker, and like I say, it was just an idea, and I was articulating it. But yeah, I've wondered about that for a little while. Whether playing him there would actually be on occasions, and even if it was just for the last 10 minutes of a game, whether it might be one way of utilising him in some way, shape, or form. Soucek is the farthest forward of the midfield in my formation. It could work. I think it's one of those things, guys, that people probably sort of sit there and go, would it? Could it? Should we do it? Fuck it. Do it. What's the worst that can happen? Seriously. 3-4-3, Michael says. You're playing Big Tom like a pound shop old school Fellaini. And that worked. Didn't it? It did work in and of its time. So, Colin, evening. Hope you are well. How about playing even Kudus and Bowen up front? Could be the new Cotti and McAvenny. It could. But do you lose something from Bowen playing him? Because I do think you lose something from Bowen when you move him as the central striker. I'm not saying he couldn't do the job, because he's done it before, and if he's called upon, he will do a sterling job again. Not Raheem Sterling, but he would do a good job in that position. But I do wonder if you get the best out of him in that position. I worried about the German's mobility. I think he will end up disconnected from the rest of the team, says Kent. It doesn't look like he can play up on his own to me without bodies around him. Again, look, we've got a very limited amount of evidence to go on. Obviously, he came on as a sub against Palace. I'm sure he came on as a sub against Villa. I'm sure he did. And then he obviously started the game against Bournemouth in the Cup. And then obviously got subbed. So he's not played a full 90. I would say that. I agree with what you're saying on the basis of what I've seen so far. Your analysis is on point. But, yeah, I do wonder. Areola, Kilman, Tadibo, Mavropanos. My daughter is sending me WhatsApp messages and she's just said, Dad, you know that I love you. This is going to cost me an arm and a leg when these messages come through. That could be interesting. Areola, Kilman, Tadibo, Mavropanos, Emerson, Alvarez, Rodriguez, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Somerville, Kudus, Bowen. Is that 11? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You've managed to keep count, Michael, unlike some. Agreed, Kent, from the little I've seen so far. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 8. Rob doing chaos theory maths. Listen, it gave me a chuckle. It gave me a chuckle. And it's obviously, I probably am. I mean, what was it yesterday? I started giving some anecdote, didn't I? Do you remember that last night? I started giving some bloody anecdote to do with Hammers Chat and the Patreon's podcast that I'm involved in. And then as I got part way through the anecdote, I started to go, what made me start telling this story? Why am I going down this rabbit hole? So I probably am, Sharky. I probably am. Line up with my 4. Yeah, like I say, it's a new tactical formation where we sneak an extra player onto the pitch and hope that the referee doesn't twig it. It's genius. Absolute genius. You know, I'm surprised that in all these years of football, that no one's tried it. Please do, Ken. I may well need it. No one mentioned it. You getting brain farts lately? Listen, Michael, it's fine. What I'll do is I'll edit this bit out, right? I'll edit that bit out, and I'll sort of I'll do a little bit of creative editing in the background, and anybody that watches it after it goes off will never know. They'll never know. But listen, the good thing is, right, I've given you all a good chuckle. I've given you all a good laugh. You'll all go away after this and you'll all go, Jesus Christ, Gatesy, what the is he doing? Could we play a false 1, Rob? Do you know what? And this is something, right? You don't ever hear of anything a false any other number, do you, in football, right? So, for instance, a false 9 is when you get someone that's not a tried and tested striker, right? So, say you got a midfielder, but you play them as the striker in essence, right? I think I remember Spain doing it with Cesc Fabregas, and Kent will probably correct me whether I'm right or wrong. So Cesc Fabregas played in one of the, I think it was Euro 2012. Sure, it was Euro 2012. Spain were the defending champions and would go on to win that tournament. And I'm sure there was at least one match where Cesc Fabregas played as the false 9. And I sat there, and I still do, scratch my head and go, what do you mean a false 9? Oh, it's because he's a midfielder and he's playing as a striker position, but he's not really a striker. He's a midfielder. Right. Okay. So here's the thing, right? The other night, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who's a right back, played at left back. Did anyone turn around and say, oh, he's a false 3? No. They just said that he's a right back, but he's been shoehorned in at left back. No one said he was a false 3. Yet it happens as a striker, and we go, oh, it's a false 9. Excuse me? Why do we do that? Why don't we? I'm going off on a tangent, guys. I apologize for this, but I am going. It is one of them things that really bugs me. Why is that a false 9? Yeah. And yet, Wan-Bissaka, a right back, played at left back, and no one turned around and said a false 3. No one. You don't hear any other position. And here's another thing, and this is me going off on a bit of a rant, right? Because I can. Why, all of a sudden, in the last 5 years or so, people refer to positions by number? Oh, he's a 6. He's a 10. He's an 8. He's a. Excuse me? Excuse me? Well, I sort of look at people and I go, what do you mean he's a 6? Oh, he plays defensive midfield. Well, bloody say he's a defensive midfielder then. Oh, he's an 8. What's an 8? Oh, he's a central midfielder. Right. Say he's a central midfielder. Oh no, he's an 8. He's a 10. What? He's an attacking midfielder or a deep lying striker. I scratch my head at it, guys. I scratch my head at it. Alvarez is a false 5. Yeah, fair enough. Hang on. Kent said you lose the unpredictability of Bowen as a striker. I agree. As I say, I think that I'm not saying that he's crap when he's played as a striker, Bowen, but I just think for me, there's something that you lose. There's something that isn't quite right. Yes, I dropped Pac-Man, says Michael. Chelsea can play a false team. How many goalkeepers have they got? They got 8 goalkeepers, I hear. That's ridiculous. Someone playing at left back is still a left back, though, ain't it? Yeah, no. What I'm saying is like I say, someone playing at left back. Yes, they are a left back, but they're like I say, Wan-Bissaka is not a left back by trade. So he was a right back playing at left back. No one said he's a false 3. But when you have a midfielder, like, and here we go, Fabregas did the height, but Spain smashed. The team were playing total football, if memory serves. They played more than one game as false 9. Yes, they did. They did. And as I say, it's not you've never heard of a false anything else. You've never heard, like I say. So the other night when Wan-Bissaka, a tried and tested right back, played as a left back, no one said he's a false 3. It's such a crap statement. He's a 29 and I love a 29. Who 29, Joan? Well, hang on. Who's a 29? You've lost me, Joan. Who's our 29? Have we got a squad number 20? Oh, Wan-Bissaka. Yeah, but no one said he was because obviously number 3 is the number that you traditionally associate with a left back, isn't it? It certainly is with me. And number 9 you associate with a striker, but I don't refer to him as the 9 and the 6 and the 8 and all. I think it's nonsense. I really do. When we had Mito and McCarthy, we played 2 false forwards, 2 false footballers, mate. Honestly, pair of them were useless. What's an 8? My door number. Yeah, I mean, like I say, how many times have you heard it, Pitts? You must have heard it where people refer to positions on a football pitch now by number. Oh, he's an 8. He's a 10. He's a 6. He's this. He's that. He's a defensive midfielder. He's a central midfielder. He's an attacking midfielder. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I've gone off on a tangent. We probably should do this. Score prediction. Now, I said right at the very beginning, nearly 49 minutes ago, when I pressed start stream, I said, and Kent put it in chat, that his heart said 2-1 to West Ham, and his head said 3-1 to City. And I know where he's coming from, and I'm guessing that every single one of you in the chat who is a West Ham fan, anyone that watches this subsequently who is a West Ham fan, and even if you're not, even if you're a fan of another club that's just stumbled across this, okay, but you're a football fan, you could be a fan of Man City, okay, and that's fine. Welcome along. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Got to get those plugs in, guys. Got to get the numbers up. But the thing is, it's like we, in our hearts, we always think, no matter what the odds, overwhelming though they may be, there's always the chance, puncher's chance in boxing terms. He's got a puncher's chance. And basically what you're saying is that really they should get taken their trousers down and get seen to, right? That's really what you're saying when you say, well, they got a puncher's chance. And that's what we've got. Realistically, we could play this game 10 times. And I would suggest we lose this game 7 times minimum, possibly 8, right? And those other 2, 3 times, there's probably most of those are draws. And we probably are going by the seat of our pants. And there might be one win that we can sneak in there. But it's like that thing. Have you ever seen that film with Kurt Russell? And it's the story of, I think it's the 1980, was it the 1980 Winter Olympics? And it was the US ice hockey team that was playing against the Soviet Union ice hockey team. And the Soviet Union had this ice hockey team that was like just blew everyone away and was winning gold medals in the Olympics for fun and this, that, and the other. And these two teams had played each other a couple of months prior, and they met in the final of the Olympic ice hockey tournament, right? And there's this thing where the coach, and I think his name was Coach Brooks. And if people know the film that I'm talking about, or indeed, because it was a film, but it was based on real life events. This actually happened. And the coach was a gentleman. I think his name was Coach Brooks, played by Kurt Russell in the film. I can't remember the name of the bloody film, and someone will put it in the chat, I'm sure, right? Or put it in the comment section. And he turned around and he said, if we played this team, words to this effect, if we played this team, X amount of times, we would lose, And he said, but not here, not today. This is our time. Now, whether tomorrow is our time or not, hand on heart, I doubt it. I think we're probably going to get done, if I'm being brutally honest. I think that if we could come away tomorrow, even with a defeat, but with a defeat where we looked like we was having a go and we weren't simply just rolling over and having our tummies tickled, I would take that. I would. I'm not saying I hope we get beat. Don't misunderstand me. But I think hand on heart, tomorrow we probably go down. I think we lose. And that's okay. There's no problem there. We can have a moral victory in that we stand up to be counted. We make them work. We make them fight. We hassle them. We harry them. And we take them to the brink. And if we fall short, I haven't got a problem. I haven't. Now, some of you guys might. And that's fine. We can all have our own judgment on that. But that's all I want. I want my team to have a go. That's all any of us want, right? Have a go. So I'm going to predict we're going to lose by a scoreline of 2-1. And I'm absolutely fine with that. I think we're going to lose tomorrow 2-1. That's my head. And I'm pretty sure that my head will be correct, right? I'm pretty sure that we will lose that game tomorrow 2-1. But we will go down fighting. We will absolutely push them from minute 1 to minute 90, and they will just have that little bit of extra quality when it counts, the little bit of luck, whatever the difference is, they will have that. Not a problem. I'll come away, okay, it's 3 points lost, but you know what? We've taken arguably the best team on the planet, who's won the Premier League for the last 4 years, which no other team in history has done. We've taken them to the edge. And we almost put them over, but we didn't quite manage it. No problem, right? That's my head. My heart does say something different. I am very much in line with what Kent's take on it was, right? I do have head versus heart. My heart says we can do this. And it may well be a shithouse 1-0. It may be that we somehow, some way, managed to repel the repeated attacks of Haaland, of De Bruyne, of Kanji, of Walker, of all of those players that we managed to push them back. We managed to sort of like keep Doku at bay, Savinio at bay. All of those players that you look at and you go, wow, Foden, if he plays, maybe over 90 minutes, we can keep them back. And with one of our few forays into their 18-yard box, get a shot away that Ederson just can't deal with in time. And maybe we might shithouse a 1-0 win. That's my heart. I think my head's right. And I think we do lose that game tomorrow. You may disagree, but I'm now going to look at your comments after that little monologue that I've done. I hope it inspired you. Let's get back into the chat. What I have a habit of doing is when I'm in the flow, I don't want to look at the comments and I don't want to see I'm not being rude. It's just that I don't want to have my eye taken off the ball. So I go into these little zones where I start spouting out what I'm got on my head. And then I have a little look. So let's have a little look and see what you've been saying in my absence. 3142 Kilman to D. See, I'm going to have to get my fingers at it. All right. So hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You've got no goalkeeper. You've done the same as me. 3, 4, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, you've got 10 there, but you've got no goalkeeper. Kilman, Todibo, Mavropanos. Oh, hang on. Alvarez, sweeper. Right. Hold on. Yeah, I'm just. It's been a long day, mate. Honestly. Yeah. Okay. I'm with you now. Tony, do you think we'll go? That rumor's been floating around for a while and nothing's ever happened of it. I'm not convinced we do. It does. I know that, but it doesn't. It doesn't because they say he's playing as a false 9. So he's not playing as no striker. He's playing as a striker, but he's occupying that space, but not. But we don't say it about any other position. Don't say it about any other position, Michael. That's my point. It's just the striker that's referred to as a false 9 when the player that's playing that role essentially isn't a default striker. And like I say, we didn't say it with Wan-Bissaka the other night, who's a right back playing at left back. We didn't say, he's playing as a false 3. What? Yeah, he's a right back. He's playing at left back. Right. Well, then he's a left back at the moment, isn't? No, he's a false 3. Don't you know? Stephen agrees with me. We say this at work, number 7, etc. All this modern, exactly that, mate. I'm like, what are you on about? He's a central midfielder. Oh no, he's an 8. Simple as. Patrick, hope you're well. Owned by an oil country, any club would have done the same. Shankly and Cloughy, much more impressive. Money now talks. Only challengers were Chelsea, and they're a long, long way off at the minute, Patrick. And look, any club would have done the same. I guess it depends upon your moral compass, I suppose. But Shankly and Cloughy, I wonder what they'd have done with the money that these guys have got. I really do. You think it's going to be a 2-2 to you, Michael? I would take that. 100%. 100% I would take that. Darren says 3-1 to City, but again, caveats that with hopefully he's wrong. Look, here's my favourite little person. How you doing down there? Are you all right? Happy? Can you get off your knees? Oh, you are standing. All right. Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, thanks for coming along. I'm guessing that probably sort of like someone left the telly remote a little bit too high up. What was it, on the coffee table? Was it? Yeah, you finally managed to get up and get it. That's brilliant. Good to hear. Pitts reckons it's going to be 0-0. Tony says same as you. Hart says 2-1 to the Hammers, but Head says 3-1. What? All right, I'll see what you did there. I was looking at 3-1. Well, that's fucking hell. The away team scoring a lot of goals there, Tone. I'm surprised at that, but I've worked it out. 3-1 to Man City. Take your trousers down. 1-3. So, yeah, look, it wouldn't be the first time I've took my trousers down. Let's be fair. Lost in New York. You what about the film? No, it's like I say, Kurt Russell played the part of Coach Brooks, and it's the story of, I'm sure it's 1980 Winter Olympics, USA, Soviet Union, where the Soviet Union were like the overwhelming favourites. City have never stuffed us. You're forgetting the 6-0 away, aren't you? You're forgetting the 6-0 game at the Etihad in the League Cup semi-final second leg. City have stuffed us, Michael. Trust me. But there you go. Yeah, listen, another one that started calling me Gramps. I mean, she's bloody turned up now. Old Shorthausen. Yeah, she started all this. Didn't we lose 3-1 like 10 weeks ago? To who? 10 weeks ago. That the season hadn't even started 10 weeks ago, short stack. I don't know. But I had a busy summer, little hun. How's you? Oh, yes, okay, fine. So Charlie, 40 minutes behind on the video. Jesus Christ. You're meant to be a gold star member of this channel. Bloody hell. And you're 40 minutes behind. You're going to use your son as an excuse, though, aren't you? That's what you're going to do. You're going to hide behind your baby son as some sort of shield. Shame on you. 3-0. Hold on. 3-0 with a Fulkrug hat trick. Wow. Well, all I can say is that whatever skunk it is that you're smoking, I'd like to have some of it, please, Mr. Woodgate. Bloody hell. I'd say I'd be happy with a 1-1 draw. Fulkrug hat trick, 3-0 win. Wow. Carling don't make. Is it Carling? No, it's Carlsberg, isn't it? Carlsberg, Carling. I'm getting my beers. Oh, yeah. And I've got you to thank for that, haven't I? Short stack. Jesus Christ. Yeah, they're all egging each other on. Look, they're all against me. They're all in it. It's a conspiracy. Quite right, Pitts. Quite right. Charlie, I'm putting a bet on you've outdone Gonzo this one. I haven't seen what Gonzo said. I'm guessing he said we're going to win, has he? Oh, mate, honestly, beautiful. Darren says my heart is saying 2-1 to the Irons. Again, my heart says we can do it. My heart always says we can do it. No matter the odds, we could have our best players out. We could have injuries galore. We could have kids and reserves and people like Danny Ings playing for us and Maxwell Cornet. And my heart would still say we could get something. My head sometimes is Colin says, we win 2-1. We are stronger at the back now and we'll like Kudus, Bow and Somerville running at them and they will frighten them at the back and keep faith. I've got faith we can. I'm not too sure we will. That's where I'm at. If we somehow score early, we're going to... Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. You don't want to score in the 3rd minute because they've got another 87 to go and yeah, that would be something that would concern me, to be fair. But we'll wait and see. Where are we? Hang on, I've lost the comments. As long as we don't get trounced by 4 or 5 goals, and that's the thing, Rob. I mean, they have it in them. They could, if they hit the ground running, they could do that. And I hope they don't, obviously. But it could be like the Arsenal game last season where we was 4-0 down by halftime and people are leaving. We end up getting done by 6. So they could do that. Got to play Alvarez and Rodgers in midfield, she says. Gramps, you think your head's right? No. I know my head isn't right. You've met me face to face. You know I'm even worse in real life. This is a watered down version of me. You know this. She knows. Would accept a narrow loss, but want to see an improvement in the way we played. An attempt to mix how we transfer the ball forwards. Yes, 100% agree with you there, Adrian. To include our midfield joining up the play. Yeah, it's been quite direct. I think it's fair to say. keep your eyes on the ball, says Trudge. We always keep our eyes on them, mate. Give them a feel when you're in. Oh, you're not talking about that, no? I would love to see us get a point. I'd play Bowen up front with Somerville. Paquetá and Kudus on the pitch as our two DMs. If you watch earlier, I had this tactical masterstroke of playing 12 players. No one noticed. I'll edit it out. It's fine. Yes, I do, Sharky. That was under the famous Italian manager Samuele Allardici, I believe. Ravel Morrison played. I think Kevin Nolan was the false 9. Bullshit statement. False 9. He was playing as a striker, but, because no one else was, false 9, my ass. We impacted Aaron Wan-Bissaka's game to allow Kufau to stay badly on the right. Doesn't make sense to me. Correct. Glad I've made you laugh. Yeah, I was going with your style of maths, Rob. Listen, it could catch on, Tone. It could catch on. And as I say, I gave everybody a chuckle. Probably just give it Emerson a rest before the weekend. Happy Hammerette. Can't see any other reason. I've not seen that, Rob. I'll have to check that out. I'm guessing, is that the film you're talking about? I can't remember what the bloody film's name. Hang on. I'm right. That's it. It's got to me now. Right. Kurt Russell. Winter Olympics. Ice hockey. The film. Right. Okay. It's a 2004 film and it's called Miracle. Yeah. It's called Miracle. And it's the event was actually called The Miracle on Ice. That's why the film's called Miracle. So if you ever see that, there's that scene where Kurt Russell is sort of like trying to inspire his troops and all the rest of it and really sort of G them up a little bit. I knew it'd come to me. Well, mind you, I did have a little bit of help. From my friend Google. City beat us 3-1 end of the season. Was it 3-1? I thought it was 2-0. You might be right. Yeah, I think you are. I think we did lose 3-1. We lost. I know we lost, and we lost by a couple of goals. Yeah, I don't know. They're yeah, it's going to take me a little bit of time to work them out, Steve. But but the one thing I don't like is people who micromanage. They're really annoying. But it's only a tiny problem. You know what I mean? So anyway. Infamy. They've all got it infamy, showing my age. Yeah, you and me both. I know exactly what you're talking about, Adrian. So we're probably not too dissimilar. Shortest people out there, she says. Yeah. And it was also just sort of being serious for a moment. Yes, it was very nice to see you. Quite a surprise. I was sitting there minding my own business. I obviously knew that Nick was coming along because we'd spoken about it beforehand. I had no idea that I was going to bump into you. And it was quite a shock when I did bump into you. And I looked down and I went, "What are you doing down there?" And you looked up and you went, "You knocked me over." So I did apologise, in fairness. I picked her up and I bought her a half of lemonade and sort of like put a couple of ice cubes in it. But she could only have it in one of those little, those little Tommy Tippy mugs, those little things that you hold with both hands. She could only sort of drink it out of that. That's all I'm saying. Yep, you knew, Mr. Singleton. Miracle. Herb Brooks, that's him. Coach Brooks, that's the one. Morrison scored a worldie. That Ajala, the striker. Yes, I've seen that. He looks good. Miracle. You got it as well, Sharky. I usually am right, Gramps. Yeah, well, I have a little faith in you, don't I? What can I say? It was 3-1. Okay, fair enough, mate. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm sure you are. That's what we need, a miracle. Yeah. Kuda scored a great goal. He did. Do you know what? I remember it now. 1-3-1-4-1. See, your one includes the goalkeeper, doesn't it, Colin? That's what's throwing me. I'm like, Sean, listen, honestly, we've had it all tonight. We've had me doing a tactical masterstroke of doing my starting 11 containing 12 players. If you haven't seen it, you've got to go back. You've got to go back. It's insane. I did it yesterday where I went down a sort of an avenue and then sort of like wondered why I'd gone down there. It's just mental. This getting old, like it's horrible. It's horrible, isn't it? Sort of like you sort of, yeah, why did I come into this room? It's for your glasses. Well, where are they? They're on your head. Oh, right, okay. Carry on screaming. Half a lemonade. Yes, you know. Napoleon complex. Yeah, he was little, wasn't he? He was little. Face to face. And listen, this is I'll tell you what, right? I'm not saying you're short, but if you're 5'1.8 inches, then I'd like to know where you got that tape measure. And I reckon you got it for a three-wheeled van. I reckon it was a yellow three-wheeled van, some geezer with a suitcase. I'm telling you now, there is no way you are anywhere that resembles 5 foot anything. 4'6" at best, and that's in your high heels. And you was wearing high heels the other night, and you was still. Am I allowed to say midget? Well, you've said dwarf. So I'm guessing I can probably say midget. That will probably get me cancelled, won't it? You get cancelled for all sorts these days. You know, you say midget and it's like, oh, end of the world. You know what I mean? So Charles is saying hello to Happy Hammerette. How you doing, Charles? Hope you're well. Thanks for coming. Yeah, do you know what? She actually said that the other night when I was with her. Honestly, she was sat to my right and there was a conversation going about how tall are you? How tall are you? How tall are you? And she actually said I'm 5'1.8" inches. And I just looked at her and went, don't forget the 1.8 inches. And she was like, yeah, no, I won't. I never do. I'm like, you know, just most people would say 5'2". I think most sensible people would say I'm 5'2", because really and truly, who would give a monkey's about 0.2 of an inch? But no, I'm 5'1.8", and that's bullshit. You know, as I say, she is 4'6" in her high heels at absolute best. Thank you very much, Tony. You are a gentleman. Appreciate it. And she's joining in as well. Thank you. I think we will get him in. Sharky, you know it. I mean, I'm heading towards 50, mate. You know, I'm going to be 49 at the back end of this year. And it's been, to be honest, since I hit 40, it's been anyone that's not yet hit 40. If you're in your 30s and you're thinking you're feeling a bit creaky, you have got a treat in store when you hit 40. Because I'm telling you now, 40 onwards, you have got so many problems. Sounds like a Chelsea owner wants to play 4-4-3. He does, doesn't he? He does, Sean. I think he and I have probably went to the same school for maths. It's crazy. All the same size. Like that's what she says. I guess it depends, because there's probably a couple of little things that would stick out a little bit further, as in Happy's case. Just saying. Yeah, it's probably the one part of her that's big, actually, if I'm being honest. Not that I've looked. I've never looked, because I'm a happily married man and I don't do things like that. I've never once looked in that direction with Happy or any other woman ever in my life. I'm just saying what people have told me. People have observed that there are certain parts of the short one's anatomy that are actually proportionally in relation to the rest of her stature. actually fairly large. I've not looked. I've not, even last week, I didn't once have a sideways glance. It was not something I noticed. But allegedly, she's got a big personality. I'm being told. I am actually being told to stop picking on her by my wife. I am actually being told. I kid you not. She has just walked past me and told me off. I probably am, but probably not for the reason my wife is actually sticking up for her. I am actually getting told off for. I don't listen. I'm probably, some people would say it's bullying, and I'm not. I'm not going to say it's bullying, right? It's character building, right? Because Happy, she's a soft soul, hence her name Happy Amaret. She's always going around smiling, right? And life, unfortunately, it's tough. So what I'm doing is I'm toughening her up. So I'm giving her a life lesson. I'm just sort of like, it's out of care and love. It's out of care and love. Don't start. Do you know what? She's now having a go at me. She's now the short one, the midget. Yes, my daughter is short, but she's probably twice the size of her. So, oh, I'm so looking forward to this, Sean. Oh, I'm so looking forward to this. Oh my God. Probably the only thing that I'm looking forward to in my 50s is I'll probably become a grandfather at some point in my 50s. And that I'm looking forward to. The thrill of being able to muck about with a child, not in any sort of strange way. I'm talking about as a grandfather to a grandchild, before anyone gets the wrong idea. You sort of like, you've got your grandkids and you sort of like, you play with them, football, this, that, and the other. I'm going to love loading my grandkids up with sugar and all sorts of things, and telling them all sorts of stories, and then just handing them back to my children. I haven't changed their nappy. You're going to have to do it yourself, and then shut the door. And that'll be me. That'll be me. She does, Tony. She does. She's put up with me for a long time. Please don't remind me, says Tony. I am. I play that role very, very well. And Sharky says red card penalty. Listen, I've had some fun here, guys. I have had some fun. But life gets great in your six. Does it? Does it? Are you speaking from experience, Michael? Okay. Well, if that's the case, so there's this little bit of an upsurge when you hit your 60s. Okay, is that after you've had the knee replacement, hip replacement, all these things on the NHS? Well, I suppose you've got to wait sort of like 10 years on the waiting list, haven't you? Sort of like apply in your 50s and then you get it done in your mid 60s. Brilliant. Yeah. Anyway, right. I've got to go off on a tangent, and it's what? Oh, hello. 21s 0-0 against Norwich. Okay, right. Okay. Well, that is probably a cue for me to disappear, isn't it? Because I've been talking about all sorts here. I mean, I started off talking about Man City, and we've talked about people that are afflicted by a lack of height, like people in the chat, who apparently are happy. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But we love Happy Amaret, we really do. Even for all her little imperfections and all those small things that annoy us. But they're just tiny things that we need to overcome, we won't hold it against her. We won't. She's fine. It's just let's all leave her alone, yeah, and let's not do any more sort of like taking the mickey out of her lack of height. So we're just gonna sort of like put it down and move on. Okay. So anyway, she can take it. Don't worry. She can take it. She is sitting there laughing. Anyone that thinks I am bullying her, she is a lovely girl. But I do take the mickey out of her from time to time. She's used to it. Bill, just as I was about to go as well, welcome along. I'm going for a defensive 5-2-3. If you didn't see it earlier, mate, as I say, my tactical masterstroke is to play 12 players. I was rattling off players. Seriously, go back and look. I was rattling off players and then realised that I'd counted 12 players and I had to go back and start again. He's gone Ariola, Emerson, Kilman, Tadibo, Mavropanos, Wan-Bissaka, Alvarez Rodriguez, Kudus, Fulkrug, Bowen. Interesting. Well, at least you've managed to count right, unlike some people. Anyway. And before big up nothing. Big up nothing. You know, I think you midget up to Hammerette, isn't it? Maybe. So Are they? I said I was going to go, didn't I? I'm a bloody nightmare. I really am. I am going to go. So there's 23 of you watching now, right? If you haven't, and why wouldn't you, right? That little thumb thing, if you're watching on YouTube, and if you aren't watching on YouTube, go to YouTube now, right? Go to the channel now. And there's a thumbs up, right? When you click that, what happens is those clever people at YouTube Towers will go, that's half decent, right? And they managed to work these things out. They managed to know that this is a West Ham bit of content, and they'll find other people that watch West Ham content, and they'll push this in their general direction of travel. And some of those people, not all, some of those people will do what you've done. Yes, you, right? And they'll hit that button that says subscribe. They may even, once they've hit the subscribe button, press that little bell icon. And when they press the bell icon, when I do another stream in the future, something pings on their phone and they look down and they go, oh, Gatesy's having a little sort of chat to himself and talking nonsense, which happens quite frequently. And we build the channel like that. Other things you can do is you can take the link for this channel or the link for this particular stream and put it on your socials. And if you know any West Ham fans that you think might enjoy this content, let them know. Let them know. And the comment section. Put your comments in the section below if you're watching this after the fact and give me your opinions on any of the topics we've discussed here, like Happy Hammerette's lack of height and things like this. You can get involved and do all these things. And remember, guys, any of these things that I'm talking about, guess what? Don't cost you a copper coin. Absolutely not a shilling. Yeah? And we, all of us, you in the chat, any of you that watch after this, me, all of us, we can grow this channel together and make it better than it is today. What's not to like? Yeah? And none of these things cost you a copper coin, as I say. We don't get your bank details. We're not going to knock on your door, and we're not going to crap through your letterbox or do any nasty things to your pets, right? We might kidnap your mother-in-law, but only if you ask us nicely, all right? So I'm going to disappear. I'd like to say thank you. You've all been really good, except for Happy Hammerette, who's been a little bit of a problem, but we'll deal with her. Come on, you Irons. As I say, my heart says 1-0. My head says 1-2. Let's see what wins out. Heart, head. It'll probably be a draw now, won't it? Anyway, don't forget the Iron Supporting Food Banks charity, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Iron Supporting Food Banks collects food and cash donations for needy families in Newham Borough and beyond. Please consider making a donation via their Just Giving page, the link for which you will find in the description section of this stream. Come on, you Irons.
I was going to go, but hang on. I've got to listen. WHUFC. Oh, listen. Thank you. And if you go back and you see me doing my 11, you will notice that I miscounted. And you might even see that I've been having a little pop at Happy Hammerette, but it's all banter. No midgets or short people or anything like that were harmed in throwing little comments in her general direction, and she enjoys it, in fairness. WHUFC. I'm guessing that's not your real name. It's a bit like this one, right? She tells everyone her name's Happy. It isn't. I've seen her birth certificate. You know, what was it? 17th of August 1950, I think it says. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to disappear. I've done the Iron Supporting Food Banks promotion, so I will not press that button again. I'm now going to press this button, and that's us done.
West Ham are massive everywhere we go.